UFC on ESPN 12. Let's see if we got some. One. Yo, yeah, we got it. Excuse me again. But UFC on ESPN 12. Luis Pena versus Conor Worthy won't be on the main card because it's looking like they're going to have a 4-fight main card, which is going to preview 5 fights anyway. Luis Pena versus Conor Worthy, 8-2 Pena, never been finished. He's got both his losses by split decision against Michael Trizano and Matt Favola, 4-2 in the UFC. Wins over Steve Garcia, Matt Wyman, Steven Peterson, and Richie Smolin. 6 out of 8 of his wins via finish. And he just moved his camp to American Top Team this past year. Worthy's 15-6, 1-0 in the UFC with a TKO over Devontae Smith. His losses to Paul Feldner, Billy Quarantillo, and Kyle Nelson, all prior to the UFC. 11 out of 15 of his wins via finish, and all 6 of his losses were via finish. 5 of those by TKO, which is Luis Pena's strong suit. I believe that Luis Pena will be able to pretty much dominate that fight standing up and get a TKO win over Conor Worthy. First, second round, somewhere in there. John Vellante versus Maurice Green is going to be the fight that actually kicks off the main card. Poirier one-shots that boy. I like it. I like that pick for that card, that fight. John Vellante's Division I wrestler. He's making his heavyweight debut right now at 6'3", 17-11 is his MMA record. 10 out of 17 his wins via TKO. 5 out of 11 his losses are via TKO, and he's never been submitted. He's 7-8 in the UFC, and this is going to be his first fight back after a year layoff. He hasn't fought since February 2019, and his wins include Sean O'Connell, Corey Anderson, Sarabak Safarov, and Ed Herman. While Maurice Green's 8-4, 6 out of 8 of his wins via finish, 4 by submission, 3-2 in the UFC. He's 6'7", though. He's on a 2-fight losing streak at the moment. He got knocked out by Sergey Pavlovich, and he lost the decision to Alexei Oleinik. By submission to Alexei Oleinik. He's got wins over Junior Albini, Jeff Hughes, which he's 1-1 with Jeff Hughes, and Michel Batista. I think size could play a big part in this fight. Maurice Green's got a significant size advantage over John Vellante. But if John Vellante takes it to the ground, long night for Maurice Green, I believe. Or, matter of fact, I don't even think it's going to get there. Alarm shit was going off in the house. But I think John Vellante will try to keep it standing with Maurice Green. And Maurice Green's got a significant power advantage, length, 82-inch reach, 76-inch reach. I want to be biased and pick John Vellante, but I think Maurice Green handles that pretty easily, to be honest. Probably within the first round. Not a good fight for John Vellante's first fight at heavyweight. Brendan Allen versus, matter of fact, flip it. No, I'm going to take Maurice Green. Brendan Allen versus Kyle Dacus. Brendan Allen's 14-3, trains at Rufus Sport. He's 2-0 in the UFC with wins over Kevin Holland by submission and Tom Barisi by TKO. He's got losses to Anthony Henderson, Hernandez, Eric Anders, and Trevin Giles, all prior to the UFC. Dacus is 9-0. He's got his chance to Contender Series 2019 with decision win over Michael Lombardo. His 2 fights since were both submission wins over Steven Redmond and Nolan Norwood in CFFC. 8 out of 9 of his wins via submission. I think Brendan Allen has his way with him standing up. And gets a TKO win over Kyle Dacus. Mike Perry, Mickey Gall, Perry 13-6, 6-6 in the UFC. His losses include Jeff Neal via TKO, Sinte Luque, and Don Cerrone, both via submission. Max Griffin, Santiago Ponzinibbio, and Alan Jovan all by decision. He's got wins over Hung Yu Lim, Danny Roberts, Jake Ellenberger, Alex Reyes, and Paul Feldner. 11 out of 13 is wins via TKO or knockout, which plays strongly against Mickey Gall's strength. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, 6-2. 5 out of 6 of his wins via submission. 1 out of 2 of his losses are via knockout. And he's never been submitted. So he's 5-2 in the UFC. And he got into the UFC when he was 1-0. He's got losses to Randy Brown and Diego Sanchez and wins over Mike Jackson, CM Punk, Sage Northcutt, and George Sullivan. Hasn't really been tested at all. Stand up, not really anybody except Diego Sanchez who TKO'd him. So I think Mike Perry handles Mickey Gall pretty easily. Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker. Pretty easy one to break down. George called it. Poirier, I think, the same. This is Poirier's first fight back since losing to Khabib in 2019. Before that, he was on a 4-fight winning streak over Holloway, Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, and Anthony Pettis, while Hooker's 20-8. He's currently on a 3-fight winning streak over James Vick, Alan Quinton, and Paul Feldner. He's got UFC losses to Jason Knight, Yair Rodriguez, and Edson Barboza. So he's been outlasted by Jason Knight, outstruck by Yair Rodriguez, and just outworked by Edson Barboza. I think Dustin Poirier is going to be able to do very similar to that attack that he had with the Edson Barboza fight. I think Poirier will take the body shots deep into account within the first 3 rounds, and it's going to slow Dan Hooker down. The rest of the card actually just had to change, but Mara Romero Borello versus Miranda Maverick. Let's see what the change was. Just happened today. Felipe Lenz versus Tanner Boser. Takashi Sato versus Ramiz Baharjami. I got it right here. June 27th, right? That's this weekend. Why don't I have that written down? Kay Hansen versus Jing Yu Frey. Jordan Griffin versus Yusuf Zalal. Kay Hansen going to be the youngest female fighter in the UFC. And Kyle Nelson was supposed to fight Sean Woodson. But now Sean Woodson will fight Julian Rosa because Kyle Nelson could not get his visa to come over to Vegas. I know another short one this week, guys, but we didn't do good on picks last week. Not feeling that great about picks. I want to do a little bit more tape watching on the undercard, and I'm pretty confident about the main card. So we'll see, man. Excited for the fight Saturday. See you guys next Tuesday. What's on next Tuesday? What's the first week in Abu Dhabi, maybe? List here. 27th, 12th. So I think they take a week off, if I'm not mistaken. 27th. Next weekend will be the 4th. Yeah, so they're taking the 4th of July off. And, it's saying the card's on a Sunday. That would suck. 12th. That would really suck, but it's UFC 251. So we'll be back just to talk about any updates in the MMA world. Maybe we won't do one next week. Maybe we'll take a week off and skip to the Tuesday after so we can preview the 251 card, which is stacked, by the way. So we'll make a whole episode of that by itself. See you guys in 2 Tuesdays from now. Bye.